Thank you, Tom. Our keynote speaker today, Attorney General Joseph R. Biden, Beau Biden, excuse me, the third. Joseph R. Beau Biden took office as Delaware's Attorney General in January 2007. His public service began at the United States Department of Justice in 1995. From 1995 to 1997, he served as a counsel in the Office of Policy Development, working on a variety of legal and policy issues, including issues relating to the Brady Law, the Violence Against Women Act, and missing and exploited children. He served as a federal prosecutor in the United States Attorney's Office in Philadelphia from 1997 to 2002. In 2001, Attorney General Biden served as interim legal advisor for the United States Department of Justice in post-war Kosovo. He currently serves as a captain in the Delaware Army National Guard's Judge Advocate General's Corps and is assigned to the 261st Signal Brigade in Smyrna, Delaware. Attorney General Biden recently returned from a tour of duty in Iraq. He is a graduate of Archmere Academy, the University of Pennsylvania, and Syracuse University College of Law. He was born and raised in Delaware and currently lives in Wilmington with his wife Hallie and their 2 children. Please join me in welcoming Attorney General Joseph R. Beau Biden.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone. It's obviously an honor to be here. To my fellow veterans, Vietnam veterans, welcome home. You're right, what you said. I agree with what you said. Most importantly, to the Gold Star families we're here today to honor. I've now been, over the last week, I started my week at the VA clinic at the opening of a symposium on post-traumatic stress syndrome. It was the day before what happened at Fort Hood, at the SRP building, and then the events of obviously Wednesday, where we had events at the bridge, the unveiling of the Vietnam Memorial in Kent County, as well as an event in Milford at the Veterans Home. As a, not just as a veteran, but as a proud public servant, a person who's honored to have the job of Attorney General of the state, I can think of no more sacred duty and honor that we have as elected officials, to go directly to Tom's point, than to be true to what we say every year at Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Let me just quote to you and what I think sums up the point that I think Tom very capably and ably made and better than I will make. And it is a quote by, I think, the greatest commander-in-chief we've had, as well as the greatest general we have had. It's a quote by George Washington. And it says, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional as to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their country." Well, Veterans Day and events like this are important to honor those that are serving and those that have served, for sure. But I think what Veterans Day and events like this are even more important to do is to remember them once they've returned from battle, whether they fell in battle or they came home. That's, to me, what Veterans Day is about. Not to honor their service in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Gulf, Vietnam, Korea, World War II, World War I, and other battles. But it is to remember every single day the sacrifice that they made going forward to the moment we lay them to rest after hopefully a long and fruitful life. And to the Gold Star families and mothers that are here today, there is no greater group to honor than you, because yours and the ones you love didn't return home. I haven't seen you since I saw you in Newcastle at St. Pete's, I think. There's other families that I know and my father and family have gotten to know so well. And there aren't words to describe and for me to describe the loss that you feel, that I know is still today as raw as it was when I last saw you in Newcastle. It's still as raw. And I'd like to thank the families that are willing to come here, willing to show up and relive it, because it makes you relive it. Just to get out of bed this morning on this very awful day and be here at these tables to remember those that you loved and those that served our country. You know, Judy put in the, I didn't intend to do this and I'm not really sticking to my speech, but I'm going to just speak from the heart. In your program is part of the quote from Abraham Lincoln in his letter to Mrs. Bixby. But I'd like to read you the whole letter, and then I'll sit down, and I look forward to spending some time with all of you. On November 21st, 1864, President Lincoln wrote a letter to Mrs. Bixby, who he believed at the time had lost 5 sons in battle. And what he says is, I have been shown in the files of the War Department a statement of the Adjutant General of Massachusetts that you are the mother of 5 sons who have died gloriously on the field of battle. I feel how weak and fruitless must be any word of mine which should attempt to beguile you from the grief of a loss so overwhelming. But I cannot refrain from tendering you the consolation that may be found in the thanks of the Republic they died to save. I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage that anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Yours very sincerely and respectfully, A. Lincoln. To all of the Gold Star mothers and families here, please continue to do what you do. Remember the heroes that your family and loved ones were. Because if you don't continue to do that, it becomes increasingly hard to get people who are willing to serve our country, and not only the conflicts that we are currently engaged in, and make no mistake, we're at war as we speak. We're at war as we speak. But it doesn't do service to them in the sacrifice they showed. My final point is this, based on my experience. And that is the importance of remembering. You know, some of you didn't get the welcome home that you deserved. Some of you didn't get the welcome home that you deserved. Especially those of you in Chapter 83. But you guys have never, ever forgotten that and the importance of making sure you're there to welcome us home when we come home. And the most overwhelming experience that I've had, and I speak only for myself, not the other 109 members of the Delaware Army National Guard that recently returned, and we brought everyone home, unlike many of you in this room, was an experience I had at Pease Air Force Base, or rather Portsmouth, New Hampshire, with a group called the Pease Greeters. And if any of you saw, there was a special on PBS earlier this week with both the group that does it in Bangor, Maine, and a group for those going, and a group that does it in Portsmouth, New Hampshire for those coming home. And they're representatives of every war and every conflict. And what we did is, after leaving Iraq, heading to Kuwait, Kuwait to Romania, Romania to Germany, Germany to Iceland, Iceland to finally touching down in the United States in Portsmouth, we're allowed to get off the plane to go to the latrine as they refueled. And when they opened the jetway doors, along each side, 2 and 3 deep, spouses and former veterans and family members, Gold Star families, representatives of every conflict this nation has seen, were standing there 2 and 3 deep for 100 yards on either side, saluting us as we walked through the jetway. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. And note, that group is there whether it was at 7 a.m. in our case, 7 p.m., 3 a.m. In fact, they had been there since 4 a.m. because that's when we were supposed to get through the doors. And it is incredibly, incredibly meaningful. And the members of Chapter 83, as well as the vets, as well as every veteran group in this room, most importantly, the Gold Star families. Your willingness to continue to remember and honor those who have fallen and those who have served is an essential, if not the most essential, component of maintaining our liberties and freedoms. We have no higher duty as a government to not just remember, but to take care of. To take care of those that have returned and the families of those who did not. Hold us accountable. Hold us accountable. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.